Hello. Okay, and welcome back to the quarterfinals here at Guerrilla Games. We have Danny Seat, former employee, Magic Grinder. Yeah, overall people accuse him of bringing the shit all the time. Yeah. So how much legacy have you played? Oh wow. Okay. So talk- yeah. So that was two legacy games before. So I think it's good to always have a dynamic, like, right? Someone who's asking questions about the format. Yeah. So this is the Miracles Mirror. I don't know why we chose this. I guess it's because we didn't want me to have a dinner break. Thanks, guys. But in this is a mirror where usually you just try and shuffle away all your dead cards, like swords of plowshares and stuff like that.
Read a lot about the miracles because like Mark told me he's lending me miracles.
Sure.
So I went to like the miracles Discord and they went to like find out all I care about miracles.
And then what deck did they lend you today? So it's a day in the life of Danny. But yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's just a lot of posturing, a lot of like sculpting the hand at the start of the game, and yeah, it's just you just want to save your brainstorms until the absolute last moment.
So like for someone who's new to this format, how does one determine who's the winner, like favorite?
Oh, actually that's interesting, right? Because I think the Miracles Mirror is defined by a couple of cards.
Okay.
In the past, it used to be with Divining Top, the definitive card in the mirror. All other things being equal, was Counterbalance.
Okay.
So that was the one card that you really had to fight over. Now I think it's a toss up between Counterbalance, Jace, and your ability to interact with an end step Entreat or Mentor. But I still think it does come down to Counterbalance, and you can see here that Alfred is preparing to fight this battle, right? And here, Rigo's not ready to fight yet, so he's gonna try and sculpt his hand to find a way to interact with this Counterbalance on the stack. I think the reason, these days is not as important to land a Counterbalance, because without a top you can't perpetuate it constantly.
Like I see like people
Yeah.
like Joe, like he only hit one counterbalance trigger successful to the whole day.
Yeah, but I do think that you know all things being equal, it's still a very powerful card. All the cards in your deck are so similar, and it also lets you set up some lines where you can protect your Jace from a Force of Will, because you stacked your own Force of Will on top of the deck, or you just incrementally gain an advantage. So yeah, I think advantage to anyone who has a Counterbalance. What do you think? What does the Discord say? So you can see he really respects it, right? He's forcing here.
Actually the Discord actually says like like some blue white sideboard now they actually have Brightling for the mirror.
Yeah.
Brightling and like some even have like the fairy, but like some people are still like 50-50 on it whether is it good. Cause it being 5 mana. And,
Yeah.
I think like Search for Ascanta is also one of the key cards in this matchup.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to really okay, you have Wasteland for it, so I guess like in this matchup they won't really flip it unless
Sure.
necessary.
Well, they have Wastelands
Yeah,
in the Miracles Mirror.
is it like, do they have Wastelands in the deck?
They don't have Wastelands in the deck.
Oh, so yeah, whoever
Yeah.
gives Ascanta will probably.
Yeah, I think Escanta is pretty good. But it's also only it's very mana hungry,
Yeah.
and it's only good for setting up a hand. So if you're behind on the board, or your opponent already has a Counterbalance, it doesn't really matter if you're drawing, 2 cards a turn if all your cards get blanked by Counterbalance. And with the 4 Portents, 4 Ponders, 4 Brainstorms, it's easy to keep afloat a 1.
Yeah.
So he's gonna predict here, which is interesting. I thought he would predict before maybe he was worried about a Spell Pierce from his opponent, but that's not too bad. He predicts Tundra into the graveyard, but he still has those 2 swords.
Which is quite.
Yeah,
It's literally quite a dead card.
really quite a dead card. So he played counter to protect his Counterbalance, but yeah, this is interesting, right? Because a lot of the power of Counterbalance comes from not being able to know what you can safely play, and then you throw away a lot of spells because he has a Snapcaster in his hand, right?
Yeah.
Ideally, he would Snapcaster Brainstorm, push away the swords, find his own But now he's not sure if he can Snapcaster because he gets to trigger the.
And actually,
Oh.
So I guess like they really rely on the top deck whether does it like really.
Yeah, but it's with all those cantrips you can really kind of sculpt your, and I think it's really fun because it's like a mind game, right? You can really
Yeah.
mess with your opponent, And then the Jace becomes quite interesting because if you have a Jace and your opponent has a counterbalance, you can actually fate seal your opponent to make sure you know exactly what's on top of his deck
Then you
with
can control
counterbalance.
your-
Then you can cast resolve the spells that you want. But with then when that gets complicated by their own brainstorms because they can cast their own brainstorms.
Yeah.
So it's very fun. I think interaction, very fun, kind of like scenario.
And the one thing I know about the miracles list is like those with the mentor, like those the most
Mhm.
like it's very hard for them to be punished. Like it's more beginner friendly.
Right, yeah.
So
Yeah, I think there was a game I was watching in this store where the Ilham had nothing. He drew Mentor, he drew Brainstorm, and he just won.
wow. Mentor is quite a good card. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't that powerful in standard. Like I tried to build around mentor, but like I think it's really a powerhouse in like legacy, even vintage.
Okay, I move over.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I move over, then you can come in.
Yeah.
You can.
Especially when like vintage, when you can like turn one mentor with a Black Lotus.
Yeah,
So
I mean it's restricted for a reason. I think I'm one of the only restricted creatures. I think it's the only restricted creature now.
Oh really?
Yeah. Maybe Hermit Druid, but I think it might be the only restricted creature. So yeah, more posturing. He's resolved the Jace, which is never a good sign. So I think if this was any other format,
I
Uh,
would concede.
yeah, you concede here because you want to save time. You're trying to get the most out of your life, but because it's on stream and it's single limb, it's gonna be untimed rounds. I think you and I are gonna be here for a while, Danny.
Hopefully Weasel knows what to do. Like
Yeah, I can't imagine you'd be very encouraged with having that many swords in your
I played
hand.
against him in round one. Like he had the moment he had counterbalance at Jace, I didn't bother like playing.
Sure, and you can see that he has back to basics in his deck. So this is not a great list for the mirror, right?
Yeah, I think like he might actually play like the relic, like the rest in peace and the hammer for billions combo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So a blue white shell, a pure blue white.
Actually, does that. Like I was talking to Sheikh and like Hafiz, like we're talking about legacy yesterday. And we say like talking about different players and like especially like people on the SCG tour where like they play like differently. Hello? Yeah. Where they play like different like especially Dream Dev, he really likes back to basics. I think he's about like 2 or 3 in his miracles.
Yeah, I don't know about back to basics. It seems really bad now that there's a lot of red elemental blast in the format.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, because they can control it, right? They can. Oh man, please don't bump into the table. Yeah, they can control it because they can let you not skip your untap and red blast you at your end step, which is always a problem. Firmly in Alfred's control. I think if Alfred just puts a 1 back every turn with his Jace, I think he's fine. Yeah.
Like Vigo, he has a lot of dead cards like Terminus, Sword.
Yeah, well, both of them have a lot of dead cards, but the
But
fact
Alpha's actually just like
Yeah.
the value.
Alfred can just perpetuate that constantly.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that actually Alpha played miracles. I know he has a lot of decks, but I think he's been like toying with Rock Delver.
Yeah, I think the last time I played with Alfred was a game for fun, and I think he was playing Rock Delver,
Yeah.
and I think there was a week where he played Dredge. Yeah.
I played his Dredge. I played his Dredge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's quite interesting. He actually came to the store to buy the cards for the Dredge deck, and one of the people who didn't really know Legacy asked him, "Oh, is this for EDH deck?"
I think he must have felt quite insulted.
Yeah, it was quite funny because what kind of EDH deck do you have with like 1 Bridge from Below, 1 Nakamiba?
CDC, but yeah.
So this is Plow, and Rigo's gonna be able to fight back with a counter spell, I'm guessing. Which is interesting because he's gonna be able to flip this to counter. Oh wow! So he had the read. Okay, I guess it's not a bad setup with Jace because even if his opponent doesn't have counter spell, but his opponent is a second snapcaster, having a counter spell on top with the counterbalance stops the snapcaster.
Yeah.
So Jace is pretty safe,
Yeah.
unless he has something like Click. So he's gonna fetch, but I think his odds are very slim at this point. Yeah, if I'm Regal, I just
Don't bother.
just save the energy,
Save the time.
save the time, go play something else. Not play something else, but just go to the board
Or
games.
another thing is maybe like Vigo wants to fish out what Alfred have.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a good player, you won't really want to like show some text that you have. Like,
Yeah. He wants to figure out if Alfred has Mentor's main. He wants to figure out if there's is one off search for his counter. But Alfred doesn't need anything more than what he has in play to win. Alfred can just start ticking up basically at this point. Yeah, so there's a back to basics. I think it's pretty bad in this matchup. It's 3 mana. It does nothing. You know, look at his hand. His hand is abysmal. It's two swords, a terminus, back to basics, a blank. It's like four blanks and two lands.
It's not really an ideal hand you want to be like the control.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially
yeah,
like
for
bomb
sure.
hands, like
And I feel like he could have done at least a better job sculpting his hand in the early turns. But yeah, you know, this is the world we live in. So, uh, why even show him this card? Like, oh yeah, maybe you show him this card so that he boards.
but,
Yeah,
but
but
the
he's
thing
gonna bring in wear tear anyway.
no,
He's
but
gonna bring
the
in.
thing about the miracle is that you guys don't really run a lot of like duels. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
run like maybe
You
like two Tundra, one.
two. I mean, the new versions are 3/3 lah, right?
Yeah, but
3/3 because of the mirror is
yeah.
so red blast heavy. But even then,
Alpha, I don't think it's really playing a lot of.
no. But even then, you can just fetch a way around it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
that's
yeah.
true.
It's pretty bad. It's not like it's Blood Moon. Blood Moon is different, right? Because Blood Moon makes your fetches not work.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, but he still has the he has the BM counterbalance counter for your back to basics because you know it wasn't enough to beat you.
You know,
Yeah.
he
So
wants to like
is he gonna brainstorm again? Wow. So
one card or two.
we're gonna be here for a while, Danny, because he's not in any hurry to win.
Well,
Is this like a deny Ben and Danny the
actually,
dinner?
actually, to be fair, like if it hits 8 o'clock and you're not done, like okay, just hand it over to me.
Oh.
Just tell me,
No, I love commenting. Don't for all the 11 viewers out there, I really like commentating. It's just like I don't like commentating games that nothing's happening, right?
actually, the worst. I think the worst match that me actually commentated was Lantern versus something. Like,
A lantern mirror.
Yeah.
The lantern mirror is quite exciting because there's a lot of like little stuff that you can do. But something silly like where there's a lantern in play. The lantern's fully locked the guy down, and he has not. There's nobody's interacting. Nobody's doing anything.
Alfred.
So he got a little bit of information out of his opponent. He knows now that his opponent does play Mentor's main and probably will have Mentor's post board.
But
So
if you're Alfred, will you play the mentor or will you not play the mentor? Like you just hold the Jace and just.
yeah, if I was Alfred, I would probably set up a ponder or a brainstorm where I have two sets of, like my hand's good enough, right? Like I have a force, maybe a counterspell, and I have two sets, maybe a Jace floating at the top to make sure my opponent can't play his own Jace, and then I would just start ticking my guy up.
Yeah.
So I alternate, right? On my opponent's turn, there's a relevant card on top for counterbalance. And then when I draw that card, I'm gonna face you myself,
Yeah.
and then just keep going that way. But yeah, it seems like he's played the mentor. I don't think it's too much of a. I don't think he's giving up too much equity, because he still gets to, you know, I mean most right now is not a surprise to have mentors in your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like mentor personally because I feel like anytime you're playing cards that whose sole purpose is to kill your opponent, it's not very good for control.
You need
But
to set up, right? Mentor is the card that you-
yeah, here's another back to basics. I don't think it's gonna matter. I don't know why he's doing this, but yeah. If I'm Alfred, I counter because I want to get a token, not because this is a relevant card.
Yeah.
But I think he's baiting the top of Alfred's deck. He wants to know what's on top so that he knows whether or not his swords to plowshares are in the clear.
Actually, another thing is maybe he wants to like try to get a terminus or something. Like,
Yeah, he could try and resolve a terminus.
but
But Alfred's
still the Jace you have to deal with, so
yeah, Alfred's gonna draw. Alfred did put a 1 on top of his deck, so I suppose that's relevant. He's gonna brainstorm again. And what do you do if you're Rigo here? You know he's gonna put 2 1s because he's just not gonna let you plow his guys.
I think if I were I'll really just like
So here's a ponder again. He's gonna I'm not sure there's too much
I think by
room.
now is I know a lot. I know I have the information I need for Alfred. Like I know that he plays mentor.
Yeah.
He most probably doesn't play back to basics, but you'll still sign the wear and tear. It's a
Yeah, you sign away and tear because of counterbalance, right? And possibly search for Escanta. So he's gonna draw. He's gonna play a second counterbalance just to get prowess triggers.
yep, looks like it's
And I mean, look at Alfred's grip. It's 7 cards.
so like 4 damage from the mentor.
Yeah, he's gonna try. He's gonna try. Source to plowshares, you mean, right? Yeah. It's bad.
Basic mountain.
Yeah, so this is why I don't like basic mountains in
Yeah,
miracles.
I actually saw, like, you're talking about, like, it's just very clunky sometimes.
It doesn't matter because they're just colorless lands in the well in the mirror is not colorless land, but in the matchups where you know one
Blue and,
where you want basic lands, they're actually colorless lands because you have no red in your main deck.
oh,
You want blue and white, right?
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So the weight in the mirrors for the REB is it?
In the REBs, yeah. So this is Terminus off the top of Rigo's deck, which is pretty lucky in because he didn't set this up at all, right?
Yeah, he didn't. So I think
Yeah.
Alpha's trying to.
So
I think Alpha has a break.
Alfred has two counterbalance triggers. He can try to get one.
Then force of will.
No, then crack the fetch land and try to get the second one.
Doesn't he have a?
Yeah, so he's got he's
Doesn't
super.
he have like a brainstorm in his deck?
Yeah, he definitely does. I think, and I'm
Brainstorm
sure he's got it.
brainstorm and put
I'm sure he's got it covered 30 million ways, but he's just trying to get the extra BM bad value. Flip my own Terminus to counter yours. Oh, okay, so maybe not there. So he's got Snapcaster. Oh, he's got Counterspell. Okay, so Counterspell's gonna take care of that. And if you're Rigo here, hey, maybe you have a shot because you can actually. Oh, but he didn't fetch correctly. So look at the way he set up his lands. If he had an actual planes in play, he could probably hard cast the Terminus.
Oh yeah.
But he took Volcanic instead, with a back to basics. Or well, he didn't set up the third white.
On, like, Sunday PPDQ. So like the burn player lost to Tron because he fetched the wrong place 3 times in a row.
Oh wow.
And that was quite brutal. So
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely differences in play
yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
definitely.
But it's just fun to be able to. Well, I think it's just interesting to be able to learn from it, right? Like this is why we make these videos.
Yeah.
It's not just for coverage and for advertising, it's also for players to get improved, and also get like if I'm Rigo here, I would have considered like 10 minutes ago, but here we are.
Just to save time.
Yeah, I think I would have considered the moment that Mentor hit play, but here we are.
Not the G's and the counter balance, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. that was like the extreme. That's like yeah. So if you're Alfred, do you put a Terminus on top of your deck? Because that's the only way your opponent is gonna get back into this game. I think Alfred can kill him this turn though, because Alfred can play a bunch of spells and plow his own guys and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's like one. I think he casted one Ponder.
Yeah, it's casted one Ponder, so
or like one.
that's that's 9 damage already,
Yeah.
and with
Buff his own.
Path his own his other token. He's gonna force his own.
That's like overkill, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Every spell he plays adds 4 damage.
Yeah.
So this is lethal already because it was 9, then it was 13, and 17 now. But he has his own path. But I think the top of his deck is gonna be a 1 to protect it.
Yeah.
Was that portent that we saw? Then he takes enough damage to die. Finally, so that we can move on to the border games.
Well, I guess maybe like he hits top play, like he doesn't want to quit until he hits like.
Yeah. You can respect people like Reduke, who's a person like that who wouldn't do that. But I mean, yeah.
I guess you must know your outs. Like
Yeah. Like if there is a small percentage chance that you win, sure you should do that.
but I think in that scenario it's quite unlikely.
Yeah, for sure. So Disenchants, Flusterstorms, Vanillion Click, Red Blast definitely came in.
And I think Vigo he has like true name.
Wait, you see, I saw Alfred bought in Containment Priest. Wait, what? Yeah. I'm so curious. I actually think you should bought in the explosives because explosives is a really good way to get around counterbalance. You can change the converted mana cost of the explosive based on the same colored mana that you pump into it.
And then like more because I'm playing KCI, so like
Yeah.
I'm playing spirits, like they have spell queller.
Yeah.
Like, you want to hit like 5, but
Yeah.
three sunburst counters. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's really, really interesting.
Okay, do you think the true name nemesis will help a lot in this mirror?
I so personally, my philosophy when it comes to like dealing with playing control mirrors is that the person who has the less dead cards wins.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So if you have True Name Nemesis and the True Name Nemesis is just a card that kills somebody and doesn't do anything else, then it loses, right? It's not drawing you cards, it's not giving you incremental advantage, it's not countering people's spells.
Okay.
Because True Name Nemesis gets answered by Red Blast. Right? On the stack.
Oh, yeah,
He taps 3 mana, you pay 1 red mana. Right? I'd sooner play a Hydro Blast or Blue Blast just to deal with rather than play a true name
Yeah.
because it makes your snapcasters that much more powerful.
Because I saw him like a video, he's letting tune him against a lens. Like one of the lens players.
I mean that's understandable because you have so many basics you can upkeep a tabernacle indefinitely and then they can't deal with it.
Yeah.
So I can see that, but if you were worried about, I guess it's better than mentor against a tabernacle because you can't go wide with a, but you can go sort of wide lah. You can sack a couple of tokens, keep two tokens, and then because then each ponder becomes 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. I'm not sure I'm sold on True Name Nemesis in out of the sideboard or even the main deck. I know Kaiser played one.
Oh, what
Played.
did he play to you?
He played Miracles, the same deck he played in.
So many miracles.
Yeah, there's a lot of Miracles in this store. So really, really interesting. Yeah, I think the mirror. The mirror is funny. The mirror is like one of those like everyone's staring at each other.
Okay, is it fast from mirror or is it going to be like the same slow game one that we're going to see?
I think based on the way I've watched, no offense to the players, I've watched Rigo play. He's very deliberate in terms of his pacing of the game. I think he's gone to time a couple of times. I suspect if there isn't any kind of blowout and there are complex board states or stacks to be navigated, I think this might be a slow
Yeah,
game.
like in the modern blue and mirror. Like
Yeah.
It's much faster than.
Yeah, because it's just haymakers, right? At one point, someone starts to slam, and then when you start slamming, there's no stop to it. Like.
Yeah.
And then it ends very quickly because someone has a resolve to ferry, and then they just pull so far ahead.
The guys are saying trap.
Yeah, or guys to Saint for like an Elspeth or something like that. So, yeah, this is interesting. So you played Death and Taxes today.
Yeah.
What do you lose to?
I lose to one miracles, blue black shadows, and the blue shadows is quite bad. Like just it's already sideboard. Like they have to.
Dread of Night.
Yeah. Then I lost to Snake and Show. Yeah.
Oh wow, you lost to Sneak and Show with Death and Taxes.
So basically, game 2, he's show and tell. My hand was quite good. Then I put in Containment Priest. So, like I show and tell out the Containment
Instead of casting it.
Yeah, then I got punished for that.
Oh, wow.
I got a lot of choices. I got like Flicker Whips and like, even Friction.
Yeah.
Because I already had a Talia on field, but he managed to ramp up.
Oh wow.
Then like game 3, he just ramped up to 5 and like he had a very good start. So I can't really beat those.
That's
yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah, but I learned. You know,
Yeah.
Containment Priest.
It's just important because even if you play Miracles, you would need to know that. So look at Regal's hand. I don't think he's got a land. I think he's got a mulligan. Looking at Alfred's hand.
Alfred looks very confident.
Yeah. He's got islands, a Scalding Tarn, a Jace. He's got planes. He's got a white card at the back of his hand.
He's showing off to Daniel Roses, the winner of our PPTQ last weekend.
Oh yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, I think Miracles is no doubt like a really, really good deck, right?
Yeah.
But it's also the kind of deck that if you had to play 13, 15 rounds of Swiss, it's the kind of deck that you want to be able to play well and quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly and be very mechanically good with the deck. Because you don't want to spend 30 seconds thinking through each portent and ponder.
So like I've been asking a lot of legacy players like this question. Like no offense to any out of the 8 viewers or like no offense to anyone who like parts of this video, but how
He has swords in his deck still.
I think mentor, I guess.
Oh wow.
Okay, how do you rank like the players in legacy from like different from different places, parts of the world, like from Japan, America?
Oh okay. Yeah, I played a large legacy tournament in quite a while ago. I went 7-1-1. And I drew my last round. I was playing High Tide, and I drew my last round against a Jund opponent.
Okay.
So, I think the Japanese players are very deliberate, but they're also very respectful.
Okay.
You know, very at the start of every round, everyone lays out their sideboard, 15 cards, and they count, and then there's just like it's a very, very nice culture to play in. But I would say that there are definitely some, because it was a deck that people weren't familiar with. I did have to go to time a couple of times, but because I went to time, but I was playing a deck that you can win on turn 5 of extra turns.
Wow.
Because you can just your win is for them to draw their whole library.
Okay.
And I won a lot of games with interesting lines where I would have the blue sun, blue sun zenith, my blue sun zenith, my opponent. Sorry, brain freeze my opponent for all of his deck. Put the Emrakul trigger on the stack. Cutting wish for blue sun zenith and blue sun zenith
Oh,
him
that's a lot.
for one.
No, that's a lot.
So it was quite fun. Definitely a great event. But I think in comparison, there's a lot snappier play in America. And a lot of it comes down to, I think, what cultural differences,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
what you're alluding
yeah.
to, I'm guessing. So what do you think?
Like I, okay, in skills wise, I think
Technically,
technical. I think Americans and Europeans are probably one of the better legacy players. Than, compared to the Japanese. I know
oh, that's true.
Yeah, but
I think they get a lot more practice, right? They get to play a lot more legacy,
especially
high
when they
level
have a lot
legacy
of,
tournaments
Eternal Weekends
and SCGs and stuff like that.
and last time Eternal Weekends used to give out
Yeah. So
prize for PT. So
look at that. If you look at Regal's hand, I think if I'm Regal's position, I play this hand a little bit more aggressively, right? Like I don't want to. I'm not going to sit back. I don't think I can sit back because you have a dead card
yeah,
and you're gonna miss your land drops at some point.
So,
You have dead card, so I would just jam the mentor, right? Don't you just jam the mentor, use the red blast to fight back? Yeah. So he's gonna brainstorm at the end of his opponent's turn with no fetch lands in play, which to me is like a cardinal sin.
Okay, then we see a counter spell.
Okay, so this is not too bad. With this, he can push the swords away, but he just I don't know. You put the swords one down.
So the real question is how many swords
He keep in.
yeah.
It could be the one off. You see that Alfred has a click in his hand,
Yeah.
so he's gonna be able to see what's going on in his opponent's hand. Alfred's hand was land heavy from what I saw.
Which I think is good, if you expect a slow, but if Regal trying to go fast,
Yeah.
he needs to be able to deal with it.
So this is really interesting because the mentors,
Okay.
helping us enforce a little bit of tidiness.
It used to be the opposite.
Yeah, it's really
Do you
interesting.
prefer this new way or the old way?
I grew up playing this way,
Okay.
so he's gonna draw. Oh, this is weird.
So wait, did he let the mentor resolve?
He let the mentor resolve. I suspect he has no real way to interact with it. Maybe he brought in verdict. I can't imagine what's in his hand. Is he gonna play his own mentor and try to have a mentor fight? Doesn't end well because one of you can play sorceries and the other one can only play instants.
Yeah. And especially if I think Regal can just let the mentor resolve
Yeah.
and then he can play his own sorcery.
Yeah. He has a decent answer in oh wow, nothing. Oh.
Judgment, so
No, but he can't cast it at instant speed. Is he trying to trap him with Vendilion Click? Like attack the mentor into a Vendilion Click? But that's so bad though because do you even block in that position?
yeah. Okay, so now he attacks the mentor.
Yeah, he's gonna try. No, he's not. Okay,
Taking two. Okay.
taking two. He's gonna try and set up a terminus. Is that what's happening?
But do you keep terminus in one or two?
So I think he's gonna get an island here. If he's getting an island here, he should have cracked the Scalding Tarn. Yeah. So yeah, it's just little things, right? The kind of optimization that fetch can only get blue. That fetch can get white.
Okay.
So he's worried about back to basics. I'm guessing out of his opponent still. So now he's gonna play the Vendilion Click, presumably, right? This is the only reason why you get 3 blue.
So okay, well the clip resolve. You don't.
Yeah, I mean it's so free for you now, right? To just play this Real Elemental Blast on this click,
Yeah.
or play the counter spell
Because,
maybe.
if any spell you cast right now, you get a 1/1.
Yeah,
You get
it's
1/1,
it's great.
Value down.
Yeah,
So you see that at least.
it's interesting.
Okay, so he kept all 4 swords.
He kept all 4 swords in to fight his opponent's Monastery Mentors. I don't necessarily like that, but I'm just come from a different school.
I guess people play different play styles.
Yeah. If anything, I would keep. So this is Red Blast with 4 mana open, so Flusterstorm is bad. And he gets a Monk token. Did he forget his Monk token?
Oh my god. Okay, but I guess it happens.
Yeah. Oh well, he's asking for the go back in time. That's fine. So I'm just curious what's going on in his hand, in Alfred's hand. I guess he drew the wrong half of his deck.
Okay, I saw Flusterstorm.
Yeah, it's a storm. What does he have? He's like something crazy like fire spout or something. This is weird. Okay. So he played around back to basics at the start with the islands. Then he just went ahead and cracked all his fetches to get.
The two card blasts.
Yeah, wouldn't you if you weren't planning to do that, we would just gone volcanics, right? Assuming that you have red blast in your deck, which we know he does. So he's gonna play Council's Judgment.
Resolve.
Yeah. I don't even think it's that bad because if he say if I'm Rigo here, I play counterspell. If my opponent fights over the, if my opponent has an answer for that, I have 2 monk tokens in play,
Yeah.
right?
Like, I think once the mental resolve, like it's just like instant 1-for-1 because every
Yeah.
spell you cast,
In
every
fact,
dark creature spell you cast is
yeah. So he gets another token, and now he's gonna play Flusterstorm, right? But
Yeah.
that's fine. So what Rigo can even Rigo can't plow his mentor in response to get another token.
and
But
like,
he's fine because I actually interesting. Yeah.
no, because right now Vigo has two mentor.
I was thinking maybe you don't play the counterspell this turn and you play Snapcaster Brainstorm to find your own Flusterstorm. If you can't find it, it's fine. You just let it go because you can cast Teferi.
Yeah. But I think
and
now
untap-
he's playing the fight because I
Yeah.
think the mirror will bore out forces. Like
Yeah, you definitely bought up forces.
probably not all, but maybe like two force on you or one. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So shields the down for the most part for him. He's not even gonna jam his Teferi.
I think just
Why?
parking the bus.
He's parking the bus, but for what? Now the initiative is in Alfred's hands and he's gonna be able to play his own mentor.
Oh.
And he has snap
Maybe
counterspell.
Or maybe he wants to solve the mentor like with the snapcasters and.
Yeah, he has snap counterspell here. He has snap counterspell, but Alfred's hand is snap Flusterstorm.
But I agree with you. Like I would have gone more aggressive.
Yeah.
With Regal's hand.
Yeah, he's. I don't think you can sit back, especially if you know both of you have mentors. Like, especially with being this is not good. He's gonna get. Yeah, that's fine. He has snap fluster for you though. So he's gonna play counterspell. I think he should have played. I mean, he should have at least played use the planes to play the snapcaster, right? But anyway, he's gonna get Volcanic Island here.
To get the REB.
He doesn't have a mentor in play. So wait, he's not even getting that. That's interesting. So maybe he doesn't have. He did. I saw a Elemental Blast out of his sideboard. But yeah, he's gonna be able to snap Fluster here, and it's gonna be bad for Rigo because this is the position that you don't want to be in, right?
Yeah. And especially when the mentor is off, your Teferi is actually kind of bad. Like especially if like one mentor.
Yeah. He is actually gonna be able to snap. He's gonna be able to Teferi and Flusterstorm, right? Teferi and Swords to Plowshare as the mentor.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad.
But right now, like card advantage wise, is still.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, interesting. Okay, so he's gonna kill it now,
I think.
losing the prowess on his turn. Because if you did it on your turn, you could actually punch through that Snapcaster with your tokens, right? You could play Teferi, play Plow.
Oh, then
He's
just
drawn a Gideon ally Zendika. Wow. So, I mean, I feel like, yeah. I feel like this game when
It's like bouncing back and
it's
forth.
bouncing back and forth, partly because Rigo has a lot of trump cards. Yeah, and I know where Alfred's coming from. He can't afford to play that Jace into that many tokens. Yeah, I think if you're Rigo, you just slam the Teferi here, right? Like, I can't imagine that there's
I
anything.
think he might want to slam the Gideon. Yes.
Oh yeah,
I think he might want to slam the Gideon.
slam the Gideon instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Gideon's pretty good here. Wow, this is a choice. It's just a matter of what he's playing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Teferi, okay.
Yeah, I think the Teferi is okay. He's gonna get prowess triggers for that too. Yeah. Now Alfred's a little bit further behind. I think Alfred lost spent a lot of time not doing anything. You know, he had a lot of mana.
Yeah.
His opponent had a mentor in play for a while.
One turn, but yeah,
Yeah,
and one turn brought a lot, cause like he
yeah,
killed off all the ponders.
yeah. He didn't really respond to it. He didn't do anything about it. And now his hand's kind of like abysmal, right? It's Disenchant, Ponder, and Jace.
Do they still keep counterbalance in the middle? Or
Yeah, of course. We discussed this. It was a good card. Yeah. I think I would have. No, that's interesting.
so Regal's going on the aggressive.
Yeah, I think that's
Which
is good.
Something you want to do.
Yeah, with the Teferi play. With so many Jaces, so little time.
Ponder.
That's interesting. So it's Search for Escanta, Plow, and Ponder. You can actually take the Plow and play a Jace, yeah?
So that you to protect your Jace.
Yeah. You can take a Plow, play a Jace, and then Jace bounce one of the tokens.
Yeah.
That way, your Jace kind of survives. Then the Teferi gets to tuck the Jace. Then you can play a second Jace that you have in your hand.
But if you have advantage, but when the Regal's definitely ahead. Like especially with the
Yeah,
At
for
least,
sure.
uh,
Well,
advantage-
Alfred doesn't know about the Gideon yet. But he's gonna play Jace. I don't think he's gonna Storm, right? He bounce, right? This is weird. There's a world where the Gideon comes into play. It powers up the token. And then if he has another cantrip, he can just play that cantrip for free and make it 3 and kill the Jace.
Then beat the other beat his face.
Yeah. So yeah, he's gonna bounce.
Okay, so it's
He's gonna bounce and maybe force the tuck from.
one token left. So
Yeah.
okay.
And he's gonna plow it now. So if you're Regal, do you predict? No, he's gonna tuck.
No,
He's gonna tuck and predict.
Yeah.
Tuck predict his opponent's cards away. Well, he's Gideon now, which is so insane against Jace. But you know, he's just like Alfred's just a snapcaster away from removing. You know, this is good though. So he can actually predict himself. I think we saw Kaiser miss a predict in the top 8 of the Eternal Weekend at Yokohama.
Oh really? Oh, he top it at the Yokohama?
Yeah.
Oh holy crap! That's
Yeah, and I think we might see Regal mess up. Critic's a funny card to use, because you need to kind of be able to remember what cards are on top of your deck. Yeah.
like when I play against Vega, thinking like sometimes I didn't see Ponder, like I just name the card and then you really hit. I'm not sure whether was he like
Oh.
was he like genuinely very good at naming or did he really Ponder?
Yeah, so you know the Death and Taxes deck that you play now, right?
Yeah.
The hedge that they play against Predict is to split the the snow covered planes and the regular planes 5 and 6
Oh, okay.
to make it such that it's harder for you to predict. But
okay.
so the next level bluff is to play all of one type, because the more you lay snow covered planes, the more they think, okay, there's less snow covered planes in the guy's deck, right? So they name planes, but then when they predict for planes, then they're like, yeah, it's another snow covered planes. Then they're like, oh,
So
I
it's
got
like
so,
the next, it's the
yeah,
next level.
yeah. So it's quite funny. He's making a night token here.
So were you in Yokohama also for the
No. I wish I could have been. I passed them the cards, but I got home from Australia the same day that everyone left. So this is Jace is down from the ferry. There's a night token in play. I love it. He took the time to clean his card. Well, he. So yeah, this is Jace. This is Brainstorm. I think you need a miracle here, my friend. An actual miracle. It's the second Jace. I think he's getting punished a little bit, right? Because he found counterspell or counterbalance. He found counterbalance, and the way he tapped his mana, he can't play the counterbalance.
Oh, search for Skanta. Maybe he wants to search. But
Yeah, I mean he's.
yeah, but like I'm not sure.
Yeah,
How,
I don't think Alfred wins in this position, which means, Danny, that we're going to a game 3.
I can't say whether I'm happy or not.
Yeah.
But, well, more magic.
Okay, so he at least remembered the card that he put back on top with Predict. He's got a force in his hand. I think this game is over. I'm willing to call this, just like we said with the.
So can I ask you a question? Like, if you're playing against Death and Texas, what is your Fossil Will?
Will I keep the forces in?
Okay.
I don't think I keep the forces in because the games go so long
Yeah.
against D&T,
Okay.
that and there's Cavern of Souls, there's
Yeah, yeah,
Aether Vials,
yeah.
but this guy kept it in against you. I'm guessing based on the way you're looking at me, and
So
so
so I knew that I would ball out like forces in this matchup. Like if I was a Mega player, I slammed my Gideon. So like force of will, and I literally just
you fell out the chair.
yeah, it was a blowout. Like I
I think it's interesting. There's definitely there are times when you're playing this deck and you can make mistakes, but the power of the cards, the
carries you.
yeah, the cards carry you, lah, right? But I also think that that's not the way to look at it, right? You need to play as tight as possible, just like in any other format.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, modern is one where if you're doing your thing and no one's stopping you from doing your thing, you're probably winning.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that is true.
So if someone's doing their thing, they're probably winning in Legacy too. So I think that's I agree. I dislike the people who don't like to. I don't say I dislike, but I think people often think, oh, it's pointless because you can just do this and you win. But I think it's not about it's not about just doing this and winning. It's also about figuring things out. So it's I don't like Alfred's chances here. I feel like he drew his cards in the wrong order. He drew counter spells when his opponent has threats. He's gonna activate his counter now with. I really don't like the tapping of his mana this way. Like it doesn't really leave him any any room to maneuver.
It's like
I once played this matchup where the only way for the other player to interact with a Search for Ascanta was a back to basics. So they just kept the back to basics in to get rid of Search for Ascanta. Or, Ascanta the Sunken Ruin. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like Alfred's chances. I wish he would scoop earlier. But he's taking this Pyroblast without access to red mana. This can't be too good. The good thing is he's pushed past the Jace with his Ascanta.
yeah. So like
But look at Wriggle's hand, it's so stacked at this moment.
yeah, 229. Like I guess if I was Vigor, I'll pass the Gideon, just beat him, and just like beat him.
Yeah, for sure. You draw a card with the Teferi, you can play your own Jace. You can portent your opponent to make sure he draws a bad card, then put a good card second and predict it away. I mean, everything it's all upside from here.
But I noticed like the shop staff have a lot of like Miracles player.
Yeah?
Yes.
Well, Cass doesn't play Miracles, he plays Rock Delver, right? And Sneak and Show. That's Ilham's deck. Yeah. Yep, so Alfred very wisely scooping it up, saving us a little bit of time. I think he was cold to that mentor actually, which is why he had to go jump through hoops to get it off the table. He didn't keep in any sorts. Yeah.
I think like mentors is really one of the important factor. Like,
Yeah. I found like I bought it the way I usually did against Ray too, and he had mentors in his deck, and I found myself having to change the way I bought it against him. But it's one of those things because when you're trying to sculpt the hand to fight a counter war over something, the mentor's no good. But the mentor's very good at starting a counter war, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have cheap interaction and you're not worried about a counter play, but then the consideration becomes, hey, if I'm gonna start the war, I'm gonna lose because my opponent will fight the war with me. We fight finish, and then he's gonna play his own mentor and play some cantrips and win. So I think it's an interesting kind of like if you level high enough, I think the correct move is not to have mentors in your deck and just have terminuses.
So it means you rely on your win con basically is Jace and
Jace, Teferi, Snapcasters, Teferi is good. Teferi is really, really good. But I could be wrong. I think if you played that really controlling approach and you put Supreme Verdict in your deck, you should be fine. Yeah. As a kind of a trump. So for the 12 of you who've been patiently watching us, this is game 3. Miracles on Miracles. I am going to talk to the guy who gave me this pairing after this, so that we make sure this doesn't happen again. Whatever the case is, it looks like there's going to be a Miracles deck in the semifinals. So I will endeavor.
Is Ilham in the semifinals or is it Kelvin?
Oh yeah, I'm not sure who's in the semifinals on that end either. So we'll see.
Well, if Hoon isn't here, means that Ilham won, I guess.
Yeah, Hoon's here. He's here. Yeah. So really, it's a fun matchup to play. Yeah, it's not such a fun matchup to commentate on because there's a lot of land.
Sometimes you just run out of things to talk
Yeah,
about.
land ponder, ponder fetch. But hopefully this game will be exciting. Hopefully it'll be a bunch of haymakers. And Alfred's hand looks pretty good. I've actually sided out planes in the mirror before
Okay, I'm quite confused. So like,
because there's no card in your deck in the mirror that you need
double white.
double white or you need single double white for.
Counter.
There's counter judgment, that's fine, but you can fetch it off duels because in the early turns, if you draw a non-blue land, it really
It's like a colorless again.
it's like a colorless land. It really messes up your playing of cantrips and stuff like that. Plus, it means that you can jam more great cards into your deck
Yeah,
if you cut the lands.
So you just cut the blue for like the base for another card.
Yeah, you just cut the flames for another card because the games go so long anyway,
Okay.
right?
So okay, I guess this is different from standard where you want to hit your land drops every turn.
Yeah, you do want to hit your land drops, but you can hit your land drops so much easier because you have Potent, Ponder, Brainstorm.
Okay.
So you don't really need and you don't want to hit bad land drops. You don't want to hit like land drops that don't do anything.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm actually a proponent of cutting like lands in Legacy in certain situations. Like I told Kelvin to cut his wastelands when his opponents fetch basics. But here he should get Volcanic, of course, because Volcanic is the most important land in this matchup.
Okay, so our life counter died. I need to go and
Mm-hmm.
add life counter.
I don't think the life counter is that important for this match.
Okay,
Yeah.
But I guess our viewers want to know, like, we don't want to.
That's true. Why don't you go charge the life counter and then use yours? Thanks, Danny. Danny Seat, most valuable employee after he left the company. But yeah, so here's Brainstorm from Rigo, and aforementioned basic planes in play, which does absolutely nothing. He's gonna be able to put back 2 more lands. Keeping the Tundras seem to suggest that he's and not the island. I thought would suggest that he didn't have Predict in his deck, but now it doesn't have Back to Basics left in his deck. He's gonna be able to predict away at his end of his opponent's turn. And here's a Mentor, which is really interesting because he can play Mentor with Blast backup, but that's not good enough for him. He's playing. Instead, he chooses to go to pass, let his opponent predict himself, draw 2 more cards, and untap. So is this where he plays Click? Or is he going to click? He's going to click his opponent in his end step. And unfortunately for Regal, he's drawn his Entreat the Angels, but he does have a Brainstorm to put it back. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think the way Regal's played, the way this game's played out for Regal, it's not too much of a problem. But he's not even playing that click at the end of his turn, so that's really, really interesting. You have a Brainstorm on the side of Alfred, and he passes again. This is very, very passive play. Not sure how I feel about this. I think in Albert's shoes, he doesn't have too much ammunition because he's actually cut his forces, so he can't actually tap out at any point in time. So he's waiting for Regal to make a play, fight over it, win, and then resolve his own threat. Thanks, Danny. Yeah, for those of you watching, the live counter is too bright, so Danny's going to be a great help and go fix that for us. So yeah, end of this turn, he's going to play a Vendilion Click. Cool. So 18 to 20. Vendilion Click is on the stack. Vendilion Click's on the stack. And Regal is going to find his own Volcanic Island so that he can fight back with Red Elemental Blast. But all of this is in an attempt to tap his opponent out so that on Alfred's turn he can untap and slam possibly Jace, maybe Mentor, given that... Oh, okay. That's interesting. I would have chosen to fight there with his counterspell so that he can untap. But maybe it's Jace time now? You can see how the plains is just a colorless land here. Yeah.
I see it a lot actually. Like
Yeah. Something that people don't think about as much, I think. So here's Jace.
Jason.
This is going to be counterspell. from Rigo. Wow. What do you do if you're do you ever think about surgically your opponent's islands?
Islands. Don't think you can do that.
You can. It says any card, man.
No, no, no. Non-basic, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, non-basic. Yeah, sorry. Surgically his tundras.
That could be something.
Yeah.
But
Because
again,
he predicts it in the graveyard.
I would say if we talk about this, like you shouldn't board in surgical.
Yeah, well, I think surgical's fine in this kind of game where the actual number of cards in your hands don't matters less than the quality of the cards and the information.
Yeah, like, okay, so like he paints a scenario like if you're playing like just kind control, will you board in like surgical against Jan?
Oh no, this is legacy like.
Yeah, it's like he's talking about like different.
He's talking about modern though. But modern is different because the way Jeskai control plays in modern is that one card trades for one threat, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas there's so many cards here that make multiple that have multiple kind of like, you know. But this is not good for Rigo because his hand is surgical, entreat, brainstorm,
What's the surgical for? Like
snapcaster. It's really important to hit red blast in this matchup.
okay.
And it's also pretty good if you can hit your opponent's Jaces. But I think more importantly, you need to know what's in your opponent's hand because you know what threat you to play into their hand, right? Like if they have red blast in their hand and you know that from surgical, you can play a mentor.
Okay.
Then they have to fight, and then if they fight, you can red blast their blue spells. So I think it's pretty. I like it as a card in this matchup in particular. So here's where. Yeah, this brainstorm is going to be the most important brainstorm. And this is why Force of Will is terrible, right?
Yeah, of course. You can't.
Oh, I say that, and then he draws exactly the answer he needs to Jace. So I don't know how I feel about that anymore. But, that being said, you know, he plays the 3 mana. His opponent's already drawn a card off of the Jace. He's still gonna be able to play Alpha can untap and play, Monastery Mentor.
Yeah, so for Alfred, will you fight this console will?
I don't think there's a way for him to fight. His hand is Mentor, Snapcaster, Brainstorm, and Counterspell. He doesn't have the mana to do any kind of interaction with that. So I think you let it go, but you already earned that extra card of Jace, right? You're tying up your opponent's mana. On this turn you can play Mentor, right? And then if he plays Counterspell, or plays Force of Will, you can Counterspell. And he plays Counterspell, you can still counter back. Yeah, and then you can play a Brainstorm post everything just to.
Yeah, but if we got one surgical now, I'll wait for him to draw and surgical, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but let him draw.
okay. Anything? Nothing. Okay, so
But because it was a council judgment, he can't surgical his opponent's Jace. Because it exiles.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. Let's double check.
No, it's for reals, dude.
Oh,
Okay.
council judgment. Oh, he exiles. Oh yeah.
Yeah, exiles.
oh.
Yeah. So for those of us at home, council's judgment. Oh, I should leave it on there. Sorry. Yeah. So council's judgment actually exiles. So there's sometimes people who don't understand how this card works, so they just vote for something else. They're like, oh, I hope my opponent picks my Snapcaster Mage, and then you voted for something else, and then they get a 2-for-1. It happened a lot in the beginning of this format, but not anymore. Yeah, so I think this mentor is a clean mentor. It's gonna be a clean mentor unless he chooses to force. Even if he forces, I don't think it's a winning position for Rigo because he pulls a little bit ahead. His hand is surgical, force, and 3 lands or a ponder. So that's interesting, I guess.
What's the white card? Is that
That's a plains. Yeah, another colorless land. But
I finally understand how bad is it.
yeah. I really do think that people don't think about siding out their lands enough. And if you're gonna ponder here, I think you ponder before laying a land. That's not a plains. Is that? That's not a Gideon, right? It can't be a Gideon. So he's untapped. He opted not to play Brainstorm end of turn, but he can play Brainstorm now. He's not going to.
So Xavier and Wei ended their game. I'm not sure who's winning.
Yeah.
I like Xavier.
He's playing a Brainstorm post combat with the Monastery Mentor.
Why?
I mean, he lost out a point of damage. I don't think it's gonna matter.
Before, like,
Oh, hit him for 3? Did he just say 3? like with the hands. I am confused. Okay,
What are you guys doing?
but honestly, why don't you just play it pre-combat, right? Like you can hit ponder, you can hit
Yeah.
portent. Yeah, you can hit counterbalance. You can hit search
Or
Rascanta.
predict, if you really want to.
Yeah, yeah. Predict is instant speed, so it doesn't really
Yeah.
count. It doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, you have a whole bunch of threats in play. No clean answer to them.
Surgical.
The brainstorm. What's he surgicaling? That's interesting.
Why were you surgical?
So surgicaling instant or sorcery is really bad now because with Snapcaster Mage you can actually flash it back and make it
No,
disappear.
only instant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if he's gonna surgical brainstorm, which assume is what's happening,
Is that
yeah.
is that cost?
So that's brainstorm.
Okay.
Yeah. And the best part of surgical is that your opponent has to shuffle your library, so you can put away dead cards and then you can let him shuffle it for you. Yeah. So if Alfred had played this brainstorm on his turn, he would have found that Jace. But I'm not sure he wants to do that. Yeah, he did surgical brainstorm. So why didn't Alfred play the Snapcaster and flash back the brainstorm that's being targeted? We'll never know. But I think you could have done that. I think that could have been, super cool because you'll be able to keep your brainstorm in your hand. But I think Rigo is so far behind that he needs, Terminus.
Terminus and a mentor to follow up.
Yeah, and a mentor to follow up, or Terminus and a Jace, possibly. But with looking at Alfred's hand, he's got it covered like a million ways. What's he need? What's that uncounterable blue whale? Nazahal? Yeah.
But and every time he opens cards,
Yeah, he casts a non-creature spell. Yeah. He needs like a Nazahal or something to get out of this situation. Yeah, we're playing some EDH, I call him Sneaky Pete. You can't kill him. He's always like lurking in the water.
His standard's like, oh, you try to kill it, let me draw a card.
Yeah, yeah.
Counter.
Yeah. Sneaky Pete. How stacked is Alfred's hand? He has Snap, Red Blast, he has Counterspell, and he has a Jace that he's definitely gonna play next turn, right? To put pressure on his opponent. No, that's in the graveyard. This is the graveyard, yeah, yeah. Definitely Rigo getting great value out of his screen time. I am going to use the toilet, Danny.
Oh man.
You're gonna talk to yourself for a while.
So like we are seeing Alfred just oh wow, so he got the entry. So I think Regal got the entry off from Thor with Zack. So right now Alfred is considering whether should we let it resolve, but I guess you won't really let it resolve. Although with the entry resolving is going to be a very, very powerful card. Like actually Age is really an all-star, especially modern. Like if you as a blue white Miracles player, if you can turn 5 cast it for his miracle cost, you more or less win. Like you turn 4 Jace, then you bring back the entry, they cast the miracle. If you open doesn't counter it, the game is more or less yours. And I think that's the beauty of entry the Ages is that it wins games by its own. Obviously it's a mythic, but yeah, it wins games by its own. And Alfred letting the entry resolve. Is he letting the he's letting Regal cast the entry by his own cost. So hopefully I'm not sure. I've forgotten whether Regal has an answer, but if I was Alfred, this will not resolve. It's gonna be very devastating, and I think Ben left at a very awkward moment where you're saying that Regal needs a very good out, but yeah, this is the outs. So yeah, so we have the counter. I think I assume that's counter spell. I really hate those spell books up, but I think it's counter spell, triggering the mentor. So what does Vigo have? So he's considering it. He's considering. I guess Vigo has a counter spell to back up. But I guess he's. Yeah, so the moment he left, he miracles entry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I know like I think Alfred's like struggling.
Wait. So who miracled the entry?
Regal.
Okay, okay. So this is on the stack.
Yeah, it's on the stack. So
Yeah. So Regal knows his opponent's hand. He knows his opponent still has Snap Blast though. I don't think it's bad. Yeah, he.
yep.
Yeah, I don't think it changes too much. And he's gonna play this ponder. I think he needs to leave white open so he can plow something, right?
Yeah, but
That's a volcanic. That's
but
just.
yes, so Alfred has like no.
Hey, Danny, we lost the viewer. I was gone. Oh, we get it.
So like yep.
Yeah, I don't think this game
Like,
is.
he has 4 tokens right now.
Yeah, he has 4 tokens right
He
now.
just need to power them like
Yeah, still got the Jace in his hand, so he's gonna be able to Jace, play the Jace.
brainstorm.
Yeah, no, wait, his one is dead, right?
One. If he doesn't have a plow, he's dead.
Yeah, no, that's not a plow. That's a volcanic island. He can't play plow.
Okay, so
He's gonna
now
play Jace. He's gonna Council's Judgment his own Jace, and then that's the game, right?
he's counting whether is he dead. Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah, he can brainstorm and then Council's Judgment his own Jace.
Denial.
Yeah. Well, we've not known Wiggle to be someone who
Yeah.
concedes. So definitely a very resilient player. Yeah. So Alfred has predict myself for Jace. Does you remember what he put? Doesn't matter. You can just cast search for Skanta. Predict myself for Jace.
You know the
Oh, he's gonna predict his opponent for the BM value. He knows exactly what cards on top of his deck.
Do you know that Alfred's token? Yeah, like 100 apiece.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite expensive. Tokens there. They're probably more than Mentor.
Sure. Wait, he's dead.
Yeah, he's
He's-
definitely dead.
He's been dead like twice over, right? What's Alfred do? He's going for like the kill into the next game, is it? Overkill. Okay, okay.
It's like Hearthstone. When I play Hearthstone, I like to like keep my goal and then summon. This feels very relaxing.
Relaxing.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest. You're a weird guy, man.
So
Yep.
that's a handshake.
That's the end. I am so happy this game is over. It was a good game. It was interesting. I think it really showcased people. I think the different experience levels in terms of pilots.
Yeah.
It was a bit tedious to watch at times, but I think we're both glad it's over and happy that we watched it. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah.
We're gonna cut to the ads real quick while we set up the next round, and so we'll see you soon.
Shut up and sit down.